Hi students, today let me talk about the important essay question as well as short notes, calcium from mineral metabolism, right? This is the first and foremost essay question from your topic of minerals, okay? So first numbers, some numbers you have to keep it in your mind. Normal serum level of calcium is 9 to 11 milligram per deciliter, okay? Second one is RDA, requirement daily allowance, right, per day. What is the requirement? 500 milligram per day for children, 800 milligram per day for adults, 1200 to 1500 milligram for pregnant and lactation mothers. Okay, these two numbers are very important. Very rarely they are asking 1 to 1.5 kg total content of body calcium. So third point is total content of body calcium is 1 to 1.5 kilogram, right. Next one is sources. Milk related dairy products, you know very well. Nuts, vegetables and cereals also the sources of calcium. Okay, where it is absorbed, usually duodenum, small intestine. Actually, these three forms are very important MCQ question. Calcium is present in our body by three routes, three ways. One is bound, attached with some compounds. Second one is unbound. Third is complex. Complex is only 10%, whereas unbound is 50%. Half of the calcium is in the form of unbound. 40% is bound. That is why most of the places in the laboratories, free calcium sometimes physicians want to know, or sometimes total calcium like that. So you should know about bound form, unbound form, complex form. The 50% ionized is called as free form, that is the active form, 50%. 40% is usually attached with the albumin, very rarely globulin. So plasma proteins bound, this is non-diffusible. Sometimes in MCQ they will be asking. 10% is always complexed with citrate, lactate, phosphate, bicarbonate, like that. Right? These are all the three forms of calcium present in our body. Regarding absorption, we have some factors which decreases the calcium absorption, some factors which increases the calcium absorption. Right? The first one is increased factors. We have 4 or 5 factors. Regarding our calcium essay question, sometimes in clinical scenario, simply they will ask, mention the factors which will increases the calcium absorption, like that. Just 4 answers you have to write and 2 marks you will get. Like that, some decreasing factors for calcium absorption, again 4 or 5 factors only, very easy factors. First one is vitamin D and parathyroid hormone. These two are the increases the calcium absorption. Then pH, acidic pH is always favors for calcium absorption. Lactose is a disaccharide which is always increases the uptake of calcium, and then increased amount of protein like amino acid arginine and lysine always increases the absorption of calcium. Here the problem is vitamin D increases the cal binding, which increases the calcium level in molecular level, whereas parathyroid hormone PTH that increases the calcitriol, which favors the calcium absorption. Right? Coming to the decreased factors for calcium, the first one is phytate and oxalates. Phytates usually present in cereals, oxalate usually present in vegetables, green leafy vegetables. They will decreases the absorption. Second one is alkaline pH is always decreases calcium absorption. You know dietary fiber role. This is always excrete the amounts present in the excrete the compounds present in the intestine, increases the intestinal motility. That is why it decreases the calcium absorption. The last one is high fat diet, that is free fatty acids always combines with the calcium, produces some soap formation like substances, which also will decreases the calcium absorption. So for your calcium, First point is normal serum level. Second is sources. Third is RDA. Fourth one is factors which will increases the calcium absorption, which will decreases the calcium absorption. Next one is what are all the functions? I think you all know very well about the functions. I have given one simple mnemonics EB and NH National Highways, EB Electricity Board and M2. So EB3, NH3, M2. This is for me, right? So first one is E. E means enzymes. Here some enzymes will get activated with the presence of calcium only. Without calcium, that won't be active. I am giving only 2 or 3 examples. That this is enough for your enzymatic activity for calcium. That is glycogen phosphorylase in glycogenolysis, pyruvate kinase in glycolysis, amylase and lipase. These 3 enzymes are needed the calcium for their absorption or activity. Okay. Second one is bone and teeth. You all know very well. Formation of bone and teeth is by calcium. 99% of calcium present in bones and teeth only. Third is blood. In blood, the coagulation factor 4 is dependable on calcium only. Coagulation factor, clotting factor 4. Next is in brain, some neurotransmitters are released with the help of this calcium only. So for the formation of neurotransmitters, calcium is very, very necessary. Then next one is nerves. Nerve impulses. Transmission of nerve impulses always need some calcium ions, right? Next one is hormones release. Some hormones released by the help of calcium only. Example, parathyroid hormone and calcitonin. Parathyroid hormone is synthesized from parathyroid gland and calcitonin is synthesized from parafollicular cells of thyroid gland. These two require calcium for their releases. Next one is in heart, you know very well, myocardial contractility needs calcium. Then hormones, next action is calcium acts as a second messenger for the hormones like epinephrine in glycogenolysis. Calcium acts as a second messenger for the release of or for the action of epinephrine in glycogenolysis. This point is very, very important MCQ. The next one is muscular contraction also needs calcium. The last one is integrity. Cell membrane permeability and integrity is maintained by calcium, right? So for the maintenance of integrity and permeability of the cell membrane needs, what is the mineral? Like that some MCQ question means calcium. Okay. Bye. Is coming to the regulation of calcium and then disorders of calcium metabolism, right? Already I have uploaded separate video for disorders of calcium metabolism. It's nothing but hypocalcemia and hypercalcemia. You know already the normal serum level is 9 to 11 milligrams. So if the level is less than 9 means hypocalcemia, more than 11 means hypercalcemia, like that. Okay. So before that, regulation. How the calcium metabolism takes place in our body. What are all the factors which affects the maintains the calcium metabolism? We have 3 factors. One is calcitriol, vitamin D. Another one is parathyroid hormone. Third one is calcitonin. How these 3 factors maintains the calcium balance in our body, right? Calcitriol and parathyroid hormone usually elevates the calcium level, whereas calcitonin decreases the calcium level. This is how the calcium is maintained in our body, right? Calcitriol and parathyroid hormone which elevates the calcium level in blood, whereas calcitonin decreases the calcium level, right? So for each factor you have to give 1 or 2 points related to how it will increase, how it will decreases the calcium level. First one is calcitonin usually decreases calcium level by decrease the activity of osteoclast and increase the activity of osteoblast. That means Calcium, secreted by parafollicular cells of thyroid, decreases the calcium levels. It promotes the calcification of minerals and it decreases the bone reabsorption, decreases and increases the calcium excretion through the kidneys and urine, right? Two factors, that is decreases bone reabsorption, increases the calcium excretion by kidney and in urine. Okay, this is regarding calcitonin. Coming to parathyroid hormone secreted by parathyroid gland, demineralization of bone, which will elevate the calcium level. Then increased calcium reabsorption by kidneys. This is bone role, this is kidney role. And also increased intestinal absorption of calcium in intestines. Parathyroid hormone acts on three organs, that is bone, kidney and intestine, elevates the calcium level. How? Demineralization of bone increases the calcium absorption, increased calcium reabsorption by the kidneys, and increased intestinal absorption of calcium by intestinal cells. Okay. Next one is calcitriol. This actually increased the synthesis of cal binding, which is a calcium binding protein, which will increases the calcium level in the molecular level, in the gene, DNA, genetic level. Second one is reabsorption of calcium and phosphorus from kidney and also mobilization of calcium and phosphorus from bone. These are all the three factors which will favor of the increasing calcium in our blood by calcitriol. Okay. Normal level is calcium 9 to 11. This is very, very important for your regulation. Sometimes your question is simply regulation of calcium metabolism. So for that question, first you have to mention the normal level of calcium, then three factors. For each factor, you have to mention one or two points. Okay. Okay. These are all the regulation. Coming to the disorders, we have two entities. One is hypo and another one is hyper. First one is hypercalcemia, more than 11 milligram. The causes, you have to give some 2 or 3 causes and what are all the clinical features related to hyperthyroidism. Usually these will be the asking questions for you. Causes means first one is hyperparathyroidism, right? Second cause is cancer, breast, bone, multiple myeloma, kidney, prostate, lung. All the cancers are causes for hypercalcemia, right? Second one is clinical features. Excess calcium produces calculi. Excess calcium the patient will go for acidosis. Then arrhythmias they will produce. Then muscle weakness is there. Depression, confusion is there. Central nervous system problem is depression, confusion. Abdomen, GIT problem is anorexia, nausea, vomiting and abdominal pain. These are all the clinical features related to hyperthyroidism. Coming to hypothyroidism, the level is less than 7 milligram per DL. The causes are here hyperparathyroidism is the first cause for hypercalcemia. Here hypoparathyroidism is the first cause for hypocalcemia. And second one is vitamin D deficiency through some dietary deficiency, malabsorption, decreased exposure of sunlight. These are all the causes for hypocalcemia. And renal disease also producing hypocalcemia. How? Because the active form of calcitriol produced by kidney and liver hydroxylation reactions. Suppose the hydroxylation reactions due to some diseases will be decreased, means automatically synthesis of the calcium also decrease. So decreased hydroxylation leads to vitamin D synthesis, that leads to calcium synthesis. And clinical features for this hypocalcemia is neuromuscular irritability and muscle cramps, convulsions, tetany, carpopedal spasm, bradycardia, prolonged QT interval. Any 2 or 3 clinical features you just mention about the hypocalcemia, that is enough. For hypo only they are giving treatment, that is oral calcium and vitamin D. Sometimes they will be asking how will you manage hypocalcemia, like that means you have to write oral calcium and vitamin D. This is the management part of hypocalcemia. Okay. So for calcium they will be given one giving one clinical scenario and asked some questions related to these subtitles, or otherwise sources, RDA, factors affecting the absorption, biochemical functions of calcium, how it is regulated, that is what are all the factors involved in the regulation of calcium metabolism. Finally, they will be asking disorders involved in calcium metabolism, hypocalcemia and hypercalcemia, right? You should know thoroughly A to Z about calcium for your university exam. Okay.